The scene of a Hamas rocket hit home in the southern coastal town of Ashkelon, the group that controls Gaza firing a barrage across its border after issuing Israel with an ultimatum to withdraw forces from the Al-Aqsa compound, drawing retaliatory airstrikes from Israel.
The IDF has conducted strikes against military targets in Gaza, killing more than 15 Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists while they were trying to plan or execute attacks against Israel. And we stand prepared and ready with various capabilities at our disposal should Hamas and other terrorists decide to escalate the situation.
More than 24 Palestinians were killed overnight in Gaza, while reports of Israeli casualties also emerged from the strikes. After days of violent clashes at the Al-Aqsa compound saw hundreds injured over clashes related to the status of East Jerusalem that Palestinians seek as a future capital of an independent state.
What is happening in Jerusalem and Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Israeli aggression against worshippers and our families in Jerusalem, is part of a mass Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people all over the Palestinian territories, in the West Bank, Gaza, Jerusalem, and even occupied Palestine.
A closed-door session of the UN Security Council Monday failed to produce a clear way forward, while Washington indicated it was working behind the scenes to restore calm.
Violence needs to cease. All sides need to de-escalate, reduce tensions, take practical steps to calm things down. I appreciate some of the steps we've seen in the last 24 hours, particularly with regard to rerouting the parade and putting off a decision on the evictions. But it's imperative that all sides take steps to de-escalate and calm the situation. And again, I'm deeply concerned about the rocket attacks, and even as all sides take steps to de-escalate, Israel, of course, has a right to defend its people and its territory from these attacks.
Despite these calls for calm, Israel's Prime Minister has warned that the fighting could drag on after rockets reach the outskirts of Jerusalem.
The Secretary General expressed his deep concern over the continuing violence in occupied East Jerusalem, as well as the possible eviction of Palestinian families from their homes in the Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan neighborhoods. He urges Israel to cease demolitions and evictions in line with obligations under international humanitarian and international human rights law. Israel authorities must exercise maximum restraint and respect the right of freedom of peaceful assembly. All leaders have a responsibility to act against extremists and to speak out against all acts of violence and incitement. The Secretary General urges that the status quo of the holy sites be upheld and respected.
Egypt, Qatar and the UN, regular mediators between Israel and Palestine, are reportedly working to prevent a major confrontation. Israel's Supreme Court postponing a ruling on planned Palestinian evictions from East Jerusalem Monday, where Israeli settlers and officials continue to battle over the transfer of properties and land in what the United Nations Human Rights Office in Geneva says is a violation of international law and may amount to war crimes. Shervin Briceby's SABC News, New York.